Tom lived alone on a quiet piece of land near Hillstone Ridge. His farm was small. He grew vegetables, kept chickens, and fixed machines for nearby neighbors. He didn't talk much. Most people in the nearby town just waved at him and kept walking. That's how Tom liked it. Peaceful, simple. One night, during a heavy thunderstorm, Tom was closing the barn when something strange happened. The sky flashed, but it wasn't lightning. A blue-white light cut across the sky, fast and low. Then there was a loud crack like thunder, but deeper. The ground shook a little. Tom looked up and saw a glowing object falling behind the ridge. He stood still. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a meteor either. The light vanished as it dropped behind the hills. The storm rolled on. Tom waited, staring at the ridge. He thought about calling someone, but who would believe him? After a few minutes, he went inside, made tea, and sat near the window. But sleep never came that night. Something told him this was not normal. The next morning, the sky was clear. Tom took his truck and drove up the trail behind his farm. He didn't tell anyone. As he reached the ridge, he noticed broken trees and black smoke rising from deeper in the forest. He parked and walked through the trees. Then he saw it. A small silver ship, no bigger than a van, was half buried in the ground. Steam hissed from its sides. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its surface. It looked damaged, cracked in places, burned in others. Tom approached slowly, holding a stick in his hand. The ship made no sound. A small hatch was open on one side, smoke drifting out. As he moved closer, he saw something lying just outside the hatch. It was a girl. She looked young, not more than 20. Her skin was pale with a soft glow, her hair long and silver. Her clothes were strange, tight-fitting, and made of a smooth, dark material. Her eyes were shut. She wasn't human. Tom knelt beside her. She was breathing, but barely. Her arm was scratched, and her forehead had a red bruise. He didn't know what to do. Should he leave her, call someone? But he couldn't just walk away. Not when she was hurt. Not when she looked so lost. He gently lifted her and carried her back to his truck. Back at the farm, Tom cleaned the old storage room in the barn and placed her on a cot. He gave her water, covered her with a blanket, and waited. Hours passed. She didn't wake. At sunset, she stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing blue, bright and sharp. She sat up quickly, her hand reaching out in panic. Tom stepped back, holding his hands up. "It's okay," he said, calm. "You're safe." She looked around, breathing fast. Her eyes focused on him. She didn't speak, but her hand moved to her chest. "I found you near a crash," Tom said, pointing toward the ridge. "You were hurt." She looked confused, but not afraid. Her eyes softened. She pointed to herself and said, "Mira." Tom nodded. "I'm Tom." She tried to stand, but her legs were weak. Tom helped her sit. She looked around the barn, touching the wooden wall, then the old tools hanging nearby. Her hand hovered over a rusty wrench. Curious, Tom brought her food, bread, eggs, and warm milk. She smelled it first, then took small bites. She seemed to like it. That night, he gave her an old sweater and let her rest in the barn. He slept in the house, leaving the door open so he could hear if anything happened. The next morning, strange things began. A drone flew over his land. Not just any drone. It was quiet, black, and fast. Tom had never seen one like it. Mira saw it too and became tense. She pulled a small round object from her suit, pressed it, and the entire barn shimmered for a moment, then went invisible to the drone. Tom watched in shock. "What was that?" he asked. Mira pointed to the sky and said one word, "Hunters." Tom didn't ask more. He felt something was wrong. This girl wasn't just some traveler. Someone was chasing her. Later that day, she drew pictures in the dirt with a stick. She drew her ship, then another larger one behind it. She drew fire, falling stars, and figures with weapons. She pointed to herself, then to Tom, and drew a shield around both of them. Tom understood. She wanted his help. She needed protection. He wasn't sure what he could do, but he didn't want to send her away. She looked at him with hope, trust. Something about her felt honest. As the sun set again, she stood outside the barn, looking at the sky. Tom stood beside her. She raised her hand, pointed at the stars, then at her chest. Home, she said quietly. Tom nodded. You'll get back, somehow. She turned and smiled. Then, without warning, she placed her hand on Tom's forehead. A sudden flash of light filled his mind. He saw planets, cities floating in clouds, a giant ship burning in space, people running, crying. He saw Mira hiding, escaping, falling through a storm. Then it was gone. Tom stumbled back, blinking. Mira looked tired. She said nothing, only touched her stomach lightly, then walked back inside the barn. Tom stood there in silence, heart racing. He didn't know what had just happened, but something inside him had changed. Something important had started. Tom woke early, the sky still dim with morning mist. He stepped outside and saw Mira sitting on the barn roof. Her silver hair moved gently in the wind. She looked peaceful but lost in thought, like someone remembering a home far away. He called up, "You okay?" Mira looked down, nodded once, and climbed down slowly. Her movements were still weak, but she was healing. Tom handed her an apple and a glass of water. She smiled, took them both, and said, "Thank you, Tom." He raised an eyebrow. "You?" No more words now. She nodded and tapped a small crystal clip to her suit, learning fast. "This helps." Tom looked at the crystal. It glowed faintly and pulsed with her voice. Some kind of translator? Yes, broken before, fixed. Now, they sat outside the barn, eating in silence. After a while, Tom said, "That light you showed me last night, the vision, was that real?" Mira looked at him carefully, then nodded. "Memory, from my world." Tom didn't ask more. He knew there were things she couldn't explain yet, or maybe things he wasn't ready to understand. Later that morning, Tom drove to town to get supplies. He didn't tell anyone about Mira. He only bought some extra food, clothes from a thrift store, and tools to fix the barn door. He kept his trip short. When he came back, Mira was hiding under the floor of the barn. She pointed to the sky and whispered, "Drone." Came again. Tom frowned. "Same one." "Yes," circled twice, then left. That made him nervous. He helped her out and looked up. Nothing there now. But he knew it wasn't over. Mira walked to the edge of the barn and placed 4 round stones in a square on the ground. She pressed them, and thin lines of blue light appeared between them. Then, a faint shimmer covered the whole barn. "What's that?" Tom asked. "Cloak field. Hides heat. Sound, light, safe for now." Tom whistled softly. "Smart. You really are from another world." Mira nodded once. "Many worlds. Mine is gone." That stopped Tom. Tom didn't sleep well that night. He kept thinking about the things Mira had said. Her world was gone. She was the last one. And now something was hunting her across the stars. He looked out the window toward the barn, where she slept under the cloaking field. The night was quiet, but his mind was full of noise. In the morning, he walked to the barn and found Mira standing still, her eyes closed, both hands over her stomach. She looked pale. Her breathing was slow. When she opened her eyes, Tom noticed they didn't shine as brightly as before. "You okay?" he asked. She gave a small nod but said nothing. Tom brought her breakfast bread, eggs, and fruit. She sat and ate slowly. Her hands shook a little. "What's wrong?" Tom asked. Mira looked at him, then at her stomach. Something changed. Tom felt a cold wave pass through him. "What do you mean?" Mira placed her hand on his forehead again. This time, no vision came, just warmth and a soft pulse like a heartbeat. Then she took a deep breath and looked him in the eye. "New life," she said. "Inside me." Tom blinked. "Wait, you mean you're—" She nodded. "Yes, it began that night. When I touched your mind, my kind, we carry seed and thought and spirit. You shared your soul. Now, it lives inside me." Tom stepped back, confused. "That's not possible. We didn't do anything. No touch needed." Mira said softly, "We linked through the mind. Your energy mixed with mine. It was not planned, but now it grows." Tom sat down on an old wooden crate, trying to understand. How long? How long has it been? 3 Earth days. For my kind, birth comes. Fast, 10 days only. Tom stared at the ground, silent, a child. Half human, half alien. From just one touch, he looked up at her. "And you're sure it's mine?" She smiled gently. "I felt your spirit. It was kind, strong. It chose me, and I accepted. Now the life belongs to both of us." Tom wasn't angry. He wasn't scared either. He was lost. His life was once simple, just tools, chickens, and quiet days. Now he had an alien girl hiding in his barn, glowing drones flying over his land, and a child he didn't even understand growing faster than nature allowed. He rubbed his face. "Why me?" Mira tilted her head. "You saved me. You gave without asking. My people call that soul fire. Rare, special." Tom stood up, walked to the barn door, and looked out at the field. His hands were still. "And now what? What do I do?" "You protect us," Mira said. "The hunters will come. They smell the seed. They fear the child." Tom turned. "Why would they fear a baby?" Mira's voice became serious. "Because the child is a bridge, a bond between two kinds, your kind and mine. The hunters want to keep the stars divided. They destroy anything that brings unity." Tom's jaw tightened. "Then we stop them." Mira looked surprised. "You stay, even now?" Tom nodded once. "You're not just some stranger anymore. That child is part of me. I don't leave family." For the first time, Mira looked like she might cry. Her eyes shimmered, and she said, "Then I will teach you." The next few days moved quickly. Mira used her crystal tool to show Tom how to handle some of her alien devices. One was a small cube that became a shield. Another was a metal rod that could freeze anything it touched. She also taught him how to listen not just with ears, but with energy. Tom learned fast. He was a farmer, yes, but also a mechanic. He knew how to use tools, how to repair broken things. Now he was learning how to fix something even bigger, how to protect a future he never imagined. Mira became weaker. Her glow faded. She rested more, and her stomach grew faster than normal. Tom built a small warm room in the barn using old blankets, heaters, and solar panels. He stayed close and watched the sky every night. Then, on the 5th day, the danger returned. Tom heard a buzzing sound just after sundown. He ran outside and saw 2 black drones flying over the far side of the ridge. They scanned the ground with red light beams. One turned toward the barn. Tom ran back and shouted, "Mira, they're here." Mira sat up, her eyes wide. She pressed her hand to the ground, and the cloaking field flared blue. The barn vanished from view, but only just in time. The drone passed over and paused in midair. Tom held his breath. Then, the drone moved on. Mira looked at him. "They are close now. The signal is strong." Tom picked up the freezing rod and said, "Then we need to be ready." Mira nodded. "We fight soon, but not with fear, with soul." That night, Mira spoke softly while Tom watched over her. "Our child will be the first of a new starborn kind," she said. Tom didn't speak for a while. Then he asked, "Will the child be like you, with glowing eyes and strange powers?" Mira smiled. "Maybe, or maybe like you, with strong hands and quiet courage." Tom leaned back, stared at the wooden ceiling. "What if I'm not enough?" Mira reached out, took his hand. "You are. The soul chose you. That's all that matters." Outside, a wind picked up. The trees bent slightly. In the distance, another drone hummed through the clouds. Tom looked down at her hand holding his. It was warm, calm, steady. He was no soldier. He had no army. But he had a reason now. He would protect Mira. He would protect their child. And if the stars sent hunters, he would show them what it meant to stand with humanity. Tom worked through the night. His hands moved fast, his mind focused. The barn was now more than a place for tools and hay. It was a shelter, a shield, a home for something bigger than he had ever known. Mira lay inside on a soft bed made from blankets and old pillows. Her breathing was slow, but she was awake. Her skin had lost some of its glow, and her eyes looked tired. Her hand stayed on her belly, which was now round and full. The child was growing fast. Just like she had said, "You need rest," Tom told her as he finished wiring one of the alien devices to a small solar battery. "I rest better when you are near," Mira said in a soft voice. Tom gave a short nod. He sat beside her, wiping sweat from his forehead. "How many days left?" "3," she said. "Maybe less." Tom looked out through a small opening in the barn wall. The trees moved in the wind. The sky was cloudy, hiding the stars. "They'll come before that, won't they?" he asked. "Yes," Mira said. "They feel the life. It shines like a light in dark space. They will not stop." Tom didn't speak for a while. Then he said, "Let them come. This is our land. We'll fight here." Mira closed her eyes, holding his hand. "You're ready." The next morning was strange, too quiet. No bird sounds, no wind. Even the chickens were silent. Tom noticed it. First, he stepped outside and felt a pressure in the air, like the calm before a heavy storm. Then he heard the hum, not from one drone, from many. He ran up the hill behind the barn and used Mira's scope lens to see farther. In the distance, at the edge of the forest, something dark moved. At least 6 black machines walked between the trees. They were tall, thin, with glowing red sensors and long metal arms. "They're not drones," Tom muttered. "There's something else." He rushed back and told Mira. She sat up with effort and handed him a silver disc. "This calls the net. Use it when they are near." "What's the net?" "Web trap. Strong energy. Enough to stop 2, maybe 3. Tom took it, nodded, and grabbed his tools. He had already set up tripwires, hidden spikes, and a few makeshift explosives. He had also planted small mirrors around the field to confuse the machines tracking signals. As the sun rose, Tom put on his old leather jacket, tied a band around his head, and loaded a slingshot with Mira's freezing rod. He didn't look like a soldier, but he had a fighter's heart now. The first enemy came just before noon. It moved fast, silent, scanning the trees. Tom waited until it stepped into the field. He pressed a button on a remote, and a mine under. The ground exploded. The machine flew backward, its left arm torn off, before it could rise. Tom ran up and struck it with the freezing rod. The machine stopped moving, ice forming on its body. "That's one," Tom said. But 5 more came right after. They moved in a line, spreading out, searching. One saw the barn and fired a red beam at it. The cloaking shield stopped the beam, but sparks flew. Mira cried out inside. The shield was weakening. Tom knew he couldn't hold them off forever. He ran to a hidden hole behind the barn and pressed the silver disc. A burst of blue light shot into the air, and a glowing net fell. From above, it landed onto machines, trapping them. They twisted and tried to escape, but the net held. That left 3 more. Tom faced them with nothing but the freezing rod and a tool belt. They surrounded him, red lights blinking. "Come on then," he said. One step forward. Just as it raised its arm to fire, a loud boom echoed from the barn. A blast of pure light came out from inside. Mira stood. The sun was rising behind Hillstone Ridge. A soft orange glow touched the farm, but it did not bring peace. The air was heavy. The birds were quiet. Even the trees stood still, as if holding their breath. Tom stood on the roof of the barn, holding Mira's scope. His eyes scanned the forest. The machines had arrived, down below. Mira rested in the small room he had built inside the barn. She was getting weaker. Her face was pale, and she barely moved now. Her stomach had grown large. The baby was almost here. Tom saw something move between the trees, black metal shapes walking slowly and scanning the land. These were not drones. They were hunters. He whispered to himself. "They found us." He slid off the roof, landed on his feet, and ran into the barn. Mira opened her eyes as he entered. "They're here," he said. She nodded slowly. "I feel them. They want the child, not me." Tom clenched his fists. "They'll get neither." Mira gave him a small device. It looked like a flat stone with soft lights. "Place this on the ground near the field. It will trap 2 of them if they step near." Tom took it, nodded, and rushed outside. He placed the trap near the fence line and hid it under dry leaves. Then he checked the wires, mirrors, and barrels he had set earlier. Some were filled with thick oil, others with sharp tools. This was his land. He knew every inch of it, and today he would use all of it. A low hum passed through the air. He looked up. A dark ship hovered just above the treetops. 3 hunter machines dropped down like shadows. They walked with sharp legs, scanning in every direction, their heads turned with red eyes blinking. Tom ran back to the barn and checked on Mira. She was sweating now, breathing slowly, her eyes locked with his. "You don't need to fight alone," she whispered. "I do," he said. "You need to stay safe. The baby too." She closed her eyes. "They won't stop unless they're destroyed." "I know," Tom said. The first hunter entered the field at noon. Its body was tall, shiny, and shaped like a blade. Its arms turned into weapons. As soon as it stepped on the hidden trap, blue light burst from the ground and wrapped around it like a cage. The machine screamed in a strange metal sound and collapsed. 2 more followed. They saw the cage and stopped. Tom, hiding behind a pile of crates, lit a fuse. A barrel rolled down toward them, bursting with oil. It soaked the ground. He tossed a spark tool, and the fire jumped high. The hunters stepped back, confused for a moment. That was his chance. Tom ran out with Mira's freezing rod, aimed at the nearest machine, and hit its joint. The rod glowed, and ice spread fast over the metal body. The hunter froze in place, but the second machine turned fast and fired a red beam. Tom dropped and rolled behind a tree. The bark burned. Smoke rose. Back inside the barn, Mira cried out. Her hands gripped the blanket. Her time was near. The baby was coming faster than she thought. She pressed her hand on the ground, and the lights in the barn glowed brighter. A soft energy moved around her, like air changing shape. She whispered, "Stay strong, Tom." Outside, Tom was running. He dodged a blast and jumped behind a large tractor. The hunter walked slowly, sure of its power. It raised its arm again. But Tom had one more trick. He pressed a button on his belt. A loud sound rang out, and mirrors around the field flashed. Bright light. The hunter's sensors became blind for a moment. Tom rushed forward and swung the freezing rod with all his strength. The rod hit the machine's chest, freezing it in seconds. It fell back and stopped moving. Tom stood over it, breathing hard. His shirt was burned in places. His arms were shaking. But he was still alive. Then he heard it. A loud, deep sound came from the forest. Not just another hunter. A bigger ship. Tom ran to the hill and looked. A large black transport had landed in the trees. From it, something heavy stepped out. A new hunter. Bigger than the others. Stronger. Covered in dark armor. Tom's face tightened. One more. He ran back to the barn. Inside, Mira was crying out. Her body glowed. The baby was close. "Mira, I need to face one last machine," he said. "You'll be okay." She opened her eyes and nodded. "Go. I will hold on." Tom grabbed a heavy-to-land old metal hammer with electric charge. It wasn't alien tech, but it had weight. He stepped outside as the final hunter approached. It walked through the fire, through the broken machines, and stopped 10 steps away. Its voice was deep and cold. "Give us the seed." Tom stepped forward. "You'll have to go through me." The hunter raised both arms. 2 beams of red light aimed straight at him. Tom took a deep breath. He didn't wait. He ran forward. The hunter fired. The beams missed, burning the dirt behind him. Tom jumped and swung the hammer at the machine's leg. Sparks flew. The hunter stumbled. It grabbed Tom and threw him across the field. He landed hard, groaning. But he got back up. The machine came closer. Tom, bleeding now, looked at the hammer. Then at the glowing device Mira gave him. He threw the device under the hunter. A sudden energy field opened. The machine got pulled down by invisible force. Its body shaking. Tom used that moment. He jumped again and smashed the hammer into the machine's head. With a loud crack, the machine stopped moving. Tom fell to his knees, exhausted. Behind him, the barn glowed with white light. He rushed inside. Mira was holding something small. The baby was born. She looked at Tom, smiling through tears. You did it. Tom knelt beside her, eyes wide. The child looked human, but his eyes glowed soft blue. Mira placed the baby in Tom's arms. Our child, a bridge between two worlds. Tom held the baby close. For the first time in his life, he felt something more than survival. He felt purpose. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and purple. Tom stood outside the barn, holding the glowing child carefully. The baby's soft blue eyes looked up at him, full of light and wonder. Mira sat nearby, her strength almost gone, but her smile was calm and warm. We have to be ready, Tom said quietly. They will come again. Mira nodded slowly. Yes, they fear what this child means, the future. A bridge between worlds. Tom looked down at the child in his arms. The glow from the baby warmed the cool evening air. This small life was the key to something bigger, but also the reason danger had found them. They won't stop, Tom said. But I won't let them take her. Or you? Mira reached out and touched Tom's arm gently. I will teach you to protect her. With all I have left, over the next few days, Mira shared her knowledge. The baby, whom they named Leon, grew quickly. Tom watched as Leon's eyes brightened and small hands reached out, curious and full of life. Mira taught Tom how to use the alien tools she still carried. She showed him how to activate a shield generator that created an invisible force field. She taught him to sense energy around them and to listen for dangers beyond normal sound. Tom learned quickly. He repaired the barn, setting up defenses and traps. He placed the shield generators in secret spots to protect the baby and Mira. Though Mira was weak, her spirit was strong. She stayed close to Tom, guiding him every step. One evening, as the sky darkened, Tom saw strange lights far above the trees. Small ships moved fast, coming closer to Earth. They're back, Tom said, tension in his voice. Mira looked at Leon, sleeping peacefully in her cradle. It is time, she said. We must fight to protect the child and our future. Tom felt fear, but also courage. We will stand and fight together. They prepared quickly. Tom took the tools Mira taught him to use, wearing armor made of light and metal. Mira held her energy rod, glowing softly. Outside, the dark machines landed with heavy steps. Their red eyes scanned the land. The hunters were many, strong, and ready. The battle began. Tom fired freezing blasts that stopped machines in place. Mira's energy waves pushed enemies back. Tom moved fast, setting traps and striking with all his strength. Mira stayed near the barn, guarding the cradle where Leon slept. She used her powers to protect the baby and herself. One hunter broke through the line and rushed toward the barn. Tom charged, swinging his hammer with fierce determination. The machine fought back, but Tom used all he learned. He froze its legs, struck its head, and knocked it down. Suddenly, Mira cried out. Her energy rod flickered and dimmed. The fight had drained her. Tom rushed to her side. Are you okay? She smiled weakly. Leon is safe, but I cannot hold much longer. Tom took her hand, feeling the warmth and hope in it. We can finish this together. Mira nodded. Gathering her last strength, she raised her rod high. A brilliant wave of energy exploded from it, cutting through the machines like a sword. The hunters faltered, then stopped moving. After the battle, the barn was silent. Tom held Mira gently. Her breathing was soft but calm. Thank you, she whispered. You saved us. Tom shook his head. No, we saved each other. Mira smiled faintly and closed her eyes. Tom stayed with her, holding her hand as she rested. Days passed. Tom cared for Leon and watched the farm. The baby grew strong, her eyes shining bright. One night, Tom sat outside with Leon. He looked at the stars, thinking about everything. Leon reached up and touched his face. Her touch was warm and full of light. Tom smiled. You are the future. The stars twinkled above, and Tom knew this was just the beginning. The days passed slowly after the final battle. The air around the farm felt different. It was quiet, but not in a bad way. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm. Peaceful, but full of questions. Tom spent his time caring for the baby, Leon. She was not like human babies. She learned quickly. She could already sit up on her own. Sometimes, her eyes glowed like stars, and small things around her would float in the air. Tom didn't understand it all, but he felt proud. This child was something special. Mira was still weak. She stayed in the old barn most of the time, wrapped in blankets. Her body was tired, but her spirit was still strong. She smiled every time she saw Tom and Leon together. "You were not ready for this," she said one morning as Tom brought her some warm soup. Tom sat down beside her. "No, I wasn't. But I'm still here." She looked at him with kind eyes. "That's what matters." Tom started writing things down. He made notes about everything Mira had taught him, about the shield generator, the energy fields, and the silent language of the stars. He didn't want to forget. Someday, he believed Leon would want to know where she came from. Mira helped when she could. She told him more about her world. It had been beautiful once. Her people were thinkers, healers, and travelers. But fear had broken them. Fear of change, fear of mixing with others. That fear had led to war. "That's why they wanted to stop Leon," Mira said. "Because she is proof that we can become more. That life doesn't have to stay the same forever." Tom listened carefully. The more he learned, the more he understood the danger was not just about machines or aliens. It was about ideas. Some people, some beings didn't want peace. They wanted control. One night, Mira asked Tom to take her outside. The stars were bright, and the air was cool. She looked up for a long time, then spoke. "I do not have much. Time left, Tom. My body cannot heal here. Earth is kind, but not enough for me." Tom's heart grew heavy. "There has to be something we can do." Mira shook her head gently. "You've already done everything. You gave me peace. You gave our child a future." Tom sat beside her, quiet for a moment. "She's going to grow up strong. I'll teach her everything I can. You won't be alone," Mira said. "There are others. People like you. Good ones. They'll come." Tom looked at her. "From Earth or from the stars?" "Both," Mira said, smiling softly. In the next weeks, Tom fixed up the farmhouse and made it safe. He added lights that worked on alien power. He planted new crops and even made a small room for Leon to sleep in. Leon grew fast. By her 3rd month, she was already walking. She could speak small words in both human and alien language. When she smiled, the plants near her seemed to grow a little taller. Tom was amazed. He loved her like his own. She wasn't just special because of her powers. She was special because she was his daughter. Mira watched from her bed, weaker each day. One morning, she called Tom and placed her hand over his. "You are her father now," she said. "You must lead her with strength and kindness." Tom nodded, tears in his eyes. "I will." She looked at Leon, who was drawing stars on the ground with a glowing finger. "And when she's ready, she will lead too." Mira passed peacefully. That night under the stars, Tom buried her under the oldest tree behind the barn, marking the spot with stones shaped like stars. He didn't cry in front of Leon. He stayed strong. But that night, alone, he looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Mira." Years went by. Leon grew smarter, stronger, and more curious. She asked many questions about her mother, and Tom answered all of them. They spent days reading Mira's notes and exploring the nearby forest. One day, while hiking, Leon stopped and looked up. "Do you hear that?" she asked. Tom paused. "Hear what?" "A voice," she said, "from far away." That night, the sky changed. Strange lights appeared above the farm again, but this time they were not hunters. A soft, glowing ship hovered above the fields. Its color was silver and green. It did not attack. It sent a peaceful hum through the air. Leon stood outside with Tom, her eyes wide. "They're calling me," she whispered. "They know I'm here." A soft light beamed down from the ship. From it stepped a tall figure, dressed in simple robes. He had soft eyes and spoke calmly. "We are friends," he said. "We come because we felt her presence, the child of hope, the bridge between our kind." Tom stood firm. "She's not going anywhere unless she wants to." The figure smiled gently. Of course, we only wish to learn and to help. Leon looked at Tom, then at the stranger. She walked up to the light, then paused. She looked back. I'm not leaving, Papa, she said, but I want to know who I am. Tom knelt beside her. You are brave, like your mother, but no matter where you go, this will always be your home. Leon hugged him tight, then stepped into the light. The stranger smiled and offered Tom a small device for when you are ready to travel, he said. The stars are open now. Tom watched the ship rise into the sky, glowing brighter than any star. Leon waved from the window. Tom waved back, proud and full of hope. She would return. He knew it, and when she did, she would not be alone.